Okay, so this little video follows on from a couple of others. The first one was where I was looking at Derwent pencils, to be specific, 3 of their range, so the ChromaFlow, the Drawing and the Lightfast, which are ones that I use a lot in my animal art. Followed this up with another little video of a pressure test, so you really need to watch the pressure test before coming on to learning and practicing your strokes. So these videos follow along with a lot of the content that is in my book, Drawing Animal Portraits in Colour Pencil. So you'll see here that we have Getting Started, which was our pressure test, which I've covered. And now we are going to move on to some of the mark making. Now, making marks determines what result that you get with your pencils. So if you came in with the same pencil stroke over and over, you're only going to ever really create one texture. So we obviously I create first, so there's a lot of flicking tapered marks, which I will show you more of. But I want to show you others that I also use a lot, and like I say, these are in the book, but they're very important. And if you want to create something smooth and shiny and glassy and reflective, you want to use a stroke that will create that effect with the pigment. You don't want to be using a striking tapered stroke because that will create textured fur type, and you don't want to draw a glassy eye using fluffy fur strokes. So it's very important that you learn to use different strokes. So first of all, we are going to be doing something called stippling. So I'm just going to write this down so that then I can just zoom in on this area and make sure we can get this nicely in focus and zoom in as much as I can. I'm not going to zoom in all the way because I know it's not going to like it. So stippling is great for some areas like texture of noses, for example. And you would ideally want to come in with your pencil upright like this, vertical. Now, if I do that, you're not going to be able to see exactly what I'm doing. So you really want, you can use a point. This is a little bit of a rounded point on there. I'm going to sharpen up a teeny tiny little bit. And then we've got more of a sharp point there. And so you want to come in, if you've got a sharp point, you'll get smaller dots. If you've got a thicker blunt point, you'll get bigger dots. So I'll try and come in and do this at a bit of an angle so you can see it going down. Stippling is literally making little dots. You can build these dots up in an area where you can just go over and over. You can use more pressure if you want to. If you go over, repeat going over an area, you can build it up and start to really build up a texture. So if I just do one light layer over here, you can just see the transition then between building up pressure. The amount of pressure, like I say, it's a bit difficult because I'm doing this at an angle. And then you can just do lots over an area as well. And that should give you an idea. That is stippling. You can come in again with a different colour. So I've just pulled my Mars Orange out from the selection. You could come in with a different colour pencil and stipple with that one too. I'm going to say it just gives a really nice, if you did it overhead like that, it would be better. It gives a really nice effect, a nice textured effect, and just keep building on that. Using different pressures. So that's stippling. So the next one we're going to do is a back and forth stroke. So a back and forth stroke, let me just move over a little bit, the back and forth stroke. The back and forth stroke is a stroke that you want to use where you've got a smooth area. So let's say something shiny, an eyeball or something, or metal or glass, anywhere that you've got a block that you want to block in quite quickly as well, use a back and forth stroke. So this is where you use your pencil consistently using a nice even pressure on the paper and you quite literally go back and forth. And can you see, keeping a lovely even pressure. Now, with the pencils, Derwent say that the ultimate blendability from layering is with 12 layers. So there's about 4 or 5 layers gone down there already. So let's bring in the Mars Orange again. Let's do another layer over there. I'm using the same pressure. That's about 8 layers. So I'm going to go the opposite direction now. Let's go across. Still going back and forth. It's probably more than 12 layers there. Can you see how much that's building up a lovely, nice, even texture? And we're starting to eliminate the tooth of the paper, but we're keeping it. The result is lovely and smooth, even. So we are a nice, even texture or coverage. Use a back and forth stroke. If you want a bit of texture in there, you can use hatching, and of course you can cross hatch as well. So hatching. So hatching is quite literally where you draw hatch lines. So across like this, and then you can build on those, you can go in between, however much you want to build up the finish. So you want it more intense, the shadow at one end, you just do more lines. Cross hatching is where you literally come across at a 90-degree angle. And again, you can put more lines down on one end, but you can see that just gives you an element of shade. It's a good way of shading, it gives quite a nice effect, almost like a canvas effect. But that is cross hatching, hatching and cross hatching. The striking or tapered marks, which is what I was talking about mainly for fur. So that is one where you pop down your pencil with a nice firm pressure at one side, and then you press and lift away, often with a flick as you go. So you could flick in straight lines, like that, or you can flick round lines. And this is traditionally what we use when we start to create layers of fur. I've come in with my Mars Orange over the top, and you will probably build using a few different colours of pencil, but this creates a type of fur texture as you go. Obviously you can do it in straight lines as well if you wanted to. You could kind of cross hatch as well, so you could come over the top and cross hatch, but it's just a way of lifting away. So press and lift and press and flick. That is a striking or textured line. So next in the book it says scumbling. So scumbling, I'm going to come back here and do scumbling under our back and forth. So scumbling is one of our circular marks. And it's very similar to the back and forth, as in when you want to create a smooth surface, a smooth result. And it's the same even consistency, but this time you're doing teeny tiny tight little circles with your pencil. And again, I tend to work counter or anti-clockwise, and then I mix it up by coming in and going clockwise as well. And gradually build up to fill the surface. Let's bring in the Mars Orange, just like we did with the back and forth. And change the angle. And you see it's given a lovely, lovely smooth coverage there. And that is scumbling. Now alongside scumbling then we'll do our loose circles. And loose circles is exactly what it says. So it's like scumbling, but we're loose. And it's very much the difference between the back and forth and the hatching. So it's rather than doing our lines really close and tight to each other, we're allowing some of the paper to show through with the loose circles. Do small loose circles, or you can do quite big loose circles. And it's great for creating, again, a completely different type of texture. And you can gradually build up, fill in a whole area. As you can see how much quickly we filled in that area there, and then you can come in with a different colour. So there's the Mars orange again. And then in again with but it's always the same pressure that I'm using there. If you're pretty certain that you only want to put a couple of colours down, you know, you can. You're not going to want to mix and blend. Come in with more. But there you go. That's a really... It's given a smooth fill, but there is definitely texture in there, very much like our loose circles. And scumbling, like I say, with the hatching and the back and forth. I think there's just... Is there another one I wanted to show you? There's not another one in the book. We're going to go on to different types of mark making now using kind of subtraction techniques. But I just want to show you one, really, in this. And that is going to be indenting. So another way of creating this striking texture, especially when you're working on a light coloured paper like this, is you can create all of these. You could stipple, so we'll do this. This is kind of doing it in negative, so this is kind of like a subtraction method. So you can come in with a dart or a stylus. So here, and you've got to really just be aware of where you've worked. So you're not going to really see this on the camera until I come in with a pencil. Okay, so this is stippling. Now let me come in with the black pencil. You want to lay the pencil now over to one side and then come in. So if you want to reserve or preserve some of your colour of your paper, you can use a stylus like this. Okay, so this is the other technique that you can use amongst all of these little strokes. So if I come in then, I can't really do it with the back and forth and the scumbling, but if I do the hatching, and we'll do the striking. So the hatching, just come in. You've just got to be, say, really aware of where you've laid down. And also I will do a little bit of loose circle work. And then we'll do a little bit of fur striking as well. This is great for whiskers, and for eyelashes, etc. Anything that you want to preserve your lines. So I'll come in now with side of the pencil. So this is the hatching. It's a bit like when we used to rub over coins as children, but this is a really great technique to use. Here's our loose circles. And here is that striking or tapered stroke. It's brilliant for this. And again, you could come in to where you've got this fur work and then just come in with a pencil, sharp pencil, and start to build that fur work up. It's amazing how effective and how quickly you can then create something that looks quite a lot like fur. Okay, so that's a handful of little techniques that obviously sit with some of the information in my book, and hopefully it all makes sense. That tied in with the pressure test. And next little video that I'll link up to will be one just showing the difference between using all of the three Derwent pencils that I mentioned, the Chromaflow, the drawing, and the Lightfast, and we're going to just compare the two on different coloured and different textured papers.